Hi, Eddie. It's Karen with OptionVue here in Chicago. I know it's been a rough week for all of us. I had, of course, Hurricane Sandy and all the things that have happened with the devastation with that event, and then the stock markets being closed, and um, you know, all the things that have been going this week for you guys. And then we had a couple problems with OptionVue, and some of our data is missing, so I really apologize up front for all of that happening. And, great week last week because I was actually in San Francisco and was a beautiful bed and breakfast with my mom, and we were just enjoying the kind of beauty of the whole thing. And each day that went by, we saw more and more things in the rooms, in the breakfast rooms that attracted us and that were memorabilia and beautiful paintings and oil paintings and library books and trinkets. And the more we were there, the more we appreciated it. And I think that's the analogy I wanted to draw with OptionVue, because for this webinar today is for all of the new people that are just beginning to use OptionVue. And when you walk in, for example, to a bed and breakfast, you're overwhelmed by how beautiful, in this case, how beautiful the surroundings were. And, but you're tired, and the first thing you want to do is get to your room and drop your bags and take a nap and then get ready for dinner and wanted to do. So I want to take you on a short tour of OptionVue, the probably the shortest, quickest tour of OptionVue, to show you how to drop the bags, get the quotes in, get a trade on, and get moving. Okay, and then what you do then in the rest of the trial is you enjoy the rest of the trip, and you try to enjoy the program and learn a few of its nuances. And then as time goes by, you appreciate more and more and more the robustness and the beauty, so to speak, of the software to help you make money, because it is, I talked to a customer this morning, and he said it's unprecedented. He said, I've looked at a lot of different programs and platforms, and he said, your program is the only one that's got the features that you can use to do scanning, such as the survey, the trade finder, and the OpScan. And he said, that's what I need the program for, to make money with these things. So I'll give you a quick overview, and then I want to get into other things that OptionVue does. But in the purpose of the trial, for all of you trial users that have just started working with the program, the purpose of the trial is just to get an overview. It's not to learn every nuance of the program, because nobody can do that. Practically no one I know knows all of the nuances of the software. It's too many things to appreciate. And little things that we keep building and adding in over the 30 years that we've been selling OptionVue and continuing to upgrade OptionVue. In fact, I had a client say, what's the deal with the upgrades? Do I really need them? And I said, of course you do. I said, this year alone, we started with OptionVue 7.0 and we're 7.14. So we've had 14 upgrades, each upgrade with new features, new functions, all kinds of things. And the easiest way to see those new features and functions is to go and use the help section. It's OptionVue 7. You can go under OptionVue 7 here, as well as the tutorial video, which I like to. The first thing I tell clients that are just starting to use OptionVue, we need to change this to OptionVue 7, but it's OptionVue 6 Introduction and Tutorial with Steve Lentz, our head coach and head mentor here at OptionVue with Discover Options Mentoring, is go through each of these little sections, and it's meant for people with 10 minutes of time for each section. So take it upon yourself, please, trial package people, to go through the tutorial right away and get started that way. The second thing I want you to show you is the help. The help in OptionVue, under OptionVue 7, there's an extensive help section. And again, it says OptionVue 6, but it's all pertaining to OptionVue 7 as well. And you can, in this upper right corner where it says search, you can actually type any topic, any note. I wanted to research earnings reports. You'll see the results of your search in the left-hand corner, and then look up specific things that relate to it. So there's contents here, decks, there's a search, a user's guide, and again a glossary of trading terms here as well. Let's click on that, and you can see some of these trading terminologies. And all explanations for those are right here. So the is a full the full documentation that you can actually print out it's in a PDF file format. So I would encourage you, especially for the mathematic folks, to read the user's guide and all the information about it in the help section. I wanted to point under the hood, because here's where you're going to find out what sets us apart. Is mathematical models, the options pricing, futures pricing, the log normal price forecasting, volatility slippage, and convertible security pricing. So I doubt whether anybody's actually even looked at this lately, because, as we pointed out, you just don't see these things. But it's right here. There's plenty of meat to sink your teeth into. But to start with, please don't go into the nuances of the program. Just get the general overview of what I'm going to show you today. And I want to also apologize because I'm not feeling well and I've got a really bad cold. So normally, be a little bit spunky in this. So I apologize for not feeling well and for any mistakes I make in advance. Okay. All right. So talking about the bed and breakfast, dropping your bags, and then in this case, the first thing we want to do, that the active trader is going to want to do, and he's going to ask himself what to do in OptionVue, is how to get data and put on a trade. So that's the very first thing I'm going to show you. How data? Well, the data comes in real time right here in the first screen of the program, which is called the quotes display. The quotes display used to be just one long, unlimited page of data. We now changed that, and you can see down here I've set up a couple of tabs, and I can set up as many tabs and have them all be displayed here along the bottom as I want. This is a very new feature in the latest version, and I've got a tab that can separate some of these groups, as I call them. So I've got a tab that I've named stocks, and a tab that I've named say results, that I did a survey and copied the results of the survey into this particular tab. You can set up as many tabs as you want, and to do that, just left click and then right click on the main tab down at the bottom left, and then you can you can insert a tab and give it any name you want. You can say Karen's Picks. As soon as I do that, then it's listed here, as you can see. But there it is. Okay. So you can see as you want there. And the other thing is you can actually, under each section, you can right-click, and you can alphabetize according to name, last change. So I'll just give you an example. I want to have it ranked according to the last price being the highest. I can right-click. It'll rank them or re-rank them if it wasn't already ranked that way. So you can right-click on any of the tabs and then have it rank in the order of how you want it according to that the highlight or the column header. Okay, now the next thing you want to do after you get quotes is you want to set up an account, because then you make a trade and have OptionVue keep track of that trade. So these buttons, info, T-log, status, and reports, have to do with setting up an account. If you click on info, that's the very first thing you would do to set up a new account. You can call it anything you like. I got one already set up called Sample, and your program comes with an account that's called Sample. That's the name of the actual account that we've used, that we've chosen to use. That doesn't mean that OptionVue is a sample or demo. It's the name of the account. So in the case of setting up a new account, you would hit the new account button, type in new account, and say OK. That's all you'd have to do. Make sure that there's a credit balance, debit balance, short stock earnings rate, and that section is ready. The other thing is you can have all of your open positions include very important things, slippage and commissions. I'll explain those perhaps more later. The other area that's important in the screen is the Configure Trade button. Because if you have an account with our part company in Brooklyn called Track Data, you can actually have your order get sent directly into your account with Track Data right here as long as it's set up. The other company that we work with is Options Express. So you can set those up, and if you do choose, let's say, one of these, then you have to type in an account login ID and password. It will actually remember that and then go right into your Options Express account. The other thing you can do if you don't have either of these is you can hit this button that says Trade Button opens the website. And you can have, say, Options House be the website that you want it to open to. That way you don't have to ever close OptionVue and trade. You can just invoke from the button. I'll show you later. You can invoke and it'll open up that website for you. So keep these in mind too when you set up your new account. So one account up, I do want to go to the next button. That's the T-Log button. And we have to make a deposit into the account. I've set the account with $50,000 and I had a trade in here from prior. So so I'm on line 4 and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to actually make a new trade in this account that we call Sample, okay? So it really shouldn't be that difficult to set up a new account and to get it going right away the first day, the first half hour that you're using the program. And if, like I said, you have Track Data or Options Express, then you can get right into your accounts with them, okay? I'm going to look at IBM because most people are very familiar with IBM stock. They have maybe even some shares of IBM. And I'm going to pretend that I'm long IBM and I want to put a trade on. So that's the very first question we always get is how do you put a trade on as a new client? What do I do? Okay, I'm going to pretend that I'm opening up the matrix, which is where all the option prices are. You'll see that we even pick up weeklies. We've got 2 sets of weeklies right now on IBM trading, and then we've got the Novembers. There's 16 days till expiration, the Decembers, the Januaries of 2013, and the Aprils. If I'm just going to pretend that I want to be long something or short something, I want to use the trade field. The trade field is where you do all of your current what-ifing and test driving. I'm going to just buy 5 of these at the monies, and the money is with a carry mark. It's denoted as 195, and I'm going to be buying those for November. And you'll see the other strikes, the calls with the letter C, the puts with the letter P. And now I'm going to pretend that I'm going to buy this. So I can analyze this first, but I'll show you that later as an existing position. But the first thing I would do then is put the +5, or in the case of -5, if I want to book a spread, I can do it that way too. Let's, for the heck of it, just use the spread. Okay, so I convert the trade, and that's this button right here called Convert Trades. That put it into that sample file. So let's do that once. You'll notice now it becomes an existing position. So no longer is it in the trade column. It is now locked in than a drum is as an existing position. Every time you open IBM and the matrix, it'll remember this position, and the way it's recorded is in the T-log, just like the checkbook, the old-fashioned checkbook where you go into and you log every transaction by hand. That's the equivalent right here, the T-log. You'll now see that because the date and the timestamp are exactly the same, this is actually a buy and a sell. It's actually two separate transactions. It should, if it wasn't being done as a group, it would have individual margin calculations for each one if that's required. But since it is a spread, it's grouped. Date and time are exactly the same. That's the key. You'll see them stay grouped together throughout, okay, until you close the position either individually by legging out, or if you want to close the whole position by selling the one and buying the other back to close. So that log and the status will actually show me, it'll show me that I've got this recorded as a spread. Do you see that it comes in as a spread? The spread is calculated as a spread with the original price of the entire legs being calculated right here. Okay. And also, again, the valuation in this is including slippage and commissions, because that's what we set up right here. Remember, in the info screen, we said we want open positions to include slippage and commissions. Is what I call the quick and dirty as far as getting you set up, getting you ready as a trial customer to make a new trade, drop the bags, get it going, and get something. Then you can relax and get ready for dinner and what you need to do. As your step would be then to go into the help section, do the tutorial, read the information in section under OptionVue 7. Also the release notes. We talk extensively about what's new in OptionVue 7 and changes that we've made. I always encourage people to read all of that information every time they get an upgrade. So make sure that that stays part of what you do on a routine basis, okay? I sometimes get asked by customers, trial customers, are what does OptionVue do? What are the things that it does the best? What are the things that set it apart? Of things. I guess the better question would be, what doesn't it do? Because I have customers that are using it, that have been using it for as long as we've been in business, which is 30 years, and they're still using all the new features and getting familiar with things and signing up for the mentoring that we offer, because there are so many areas to learn. There are so many, I call them nooks and crannies in the program, that get a very specialized, unique program that you're not going to find in a trading platform. A trading platform package that you find with Thinkorswim or Options Express or, I don't know, all the other brokers, Schwab and brokerages, they developed their platform for options as kind of an afterthought to the brokerage, whereas this program has been like fine-tuned and added on to and customized, kind of like remodeling a house where you continue to add on new rooms and enjoy the aesthetics more and more. It's that kind of a program. So if you want something that you know, appreciate as more and more as time goes on, that's why you would get OptionVue. So it does many things. You know, obviously the first thing that it does is getting all of your favorite assets. And if you want to add, as you can see, I've got a really long list of assets. And so I've got the tabs started because we just got that new feature. But I want to add more assets. The way I would do it is to go to Edit, Lookup, Edit, Lookup. And we have added something new here. It's assets of type. Now you can have several choices. You can say, I just want to look at assets that are stocks. Okay, they will, that list pop up automatically in alphabetical order. You can scroll down and you can choose a couple from the list. Let's just say you want this one. You want AC. Well, all of these, for example, you can, or you can just individually pick and choose 1, 2, or 3 or 5. And when you choose them, you can hit the insert key and have them be inserted automatically into the quotes display. So that would be the main way I would add those. If you want to just pick commodities, then here's the list that shows all the companies that trade in the United States. So this is a brand new feature. You can add just indexes. Here's a list of all the indexes. You can scroll down and see a total of 51 of them, and these are only United States. I don't know if I said that, but it's only United States assets that are in what we call our background database, or the new name for it is the daily files. So when you see a little message that when you have something new in and it says updating daily files, that means that it's getting all the information on the option prices and everything on that one asset file or many asset files, depending on how many you're looking at. But that's every day that's updated, including all the volatility charts, the volume and open interest information, all the option prices, and those are then archived as well by servers in New York. And that's why this week we had problems, because they had the power outage and they weren't able to keep track of some of the information this week. But normally that's what would happen, is that gets retained every 30 minutes. We're archiving information on all the option prices that we then use in what we call our backtrader mode. And our trader is another powerful feature of OptionVue that allows you to backtest. And you would get by going to NetView Backtrader, and then you can start looking at something. I just want to know that briefly. But the main area, of course, here again is find your favorite assets and new ones that you want to look at. So I'm going to display the ones that I added. I did add some of them. They should be in here now. Okay, the other way you can add a new file is you can just go where you like and hit the insert key on your keyboard and start typing something, as long as you know what the symbol is. And it can even be a repeat. I've got IBM below, but if I want to type IBM up here, I can as well. I can go down here and I can delete IBM too if I want to. Doesn't make any difference. That would be then, like I said, double-clicking on IBM opens up the matrix. That would be the way to then see the bigger picture in terms of all the information about IBM that's possible out there. And this can stretch on and on and on. I mean, I've got all these months, but if I can go into the define screen and I can actually add more months by just clicking here, I can add another month. As you see, I added July just by clicking this calendar. So add quarterlies, months, and leaps. And we are already here. And the way we would do that is by going to this tab called Auto Strike. And I would see down in the lower right corner to include leaps and quarterlies. If I just say leaps, then I hit the apply button, and I'll be there. And also then appear here as well. This L stands for leaps. Those are the long-term equity anticipation contracts. Those are trading, as you can see, in the year 2014 and in the year 2015. So there's all kinds of ways that you can look at all of the months that are available. And whatever you have prices on goes into the calculation of OptionVue. Whatever you have prices on. That's how OptionVue is computing its models. So let me just a little recap. Okay, we've done the little overview of OptionVue to show you real quickly how to set up your portfolio, how to put a trade on. I knew a little bit about the new features in the edit lookup, also in the quotes display. And I talk a little bit about what OptionVue doesn't have. I mean, that OptionVue has everything, but but it takes a lot of time to learn it all and not to get overwhelmed, and therefore to use the helps, the feature functions. And also, I didn't mention it, but at our website at OptionVue.com, under the gray tab that says support, there's a bunch of webinars there that Jim Graham, our head product manager, did, and he's archived those as well in OptionVue.com. Then I talked a little bit about how you can start to customize the matrix and ads, and you can see the strikes. I didn't show you how to add new strikes, but you can do that under Define. And you can only add a strike or two here, or you can have OptionVue automatically add the strikes, changing the degree to which you're getting the strikes. And we call that the extent, or the degree, the width of how wide your strike range is going to be. So the calls, we say in the money extent small. I can say I've got three choices, moderate or large. That means that I'm going to be asking OptionVue to come up with more strikes, okay, if I change these. By default, you saw what it was on, but I'm going to change it now to moderate and large. And then I do have to remember to hit the apply button. Okay, and when I go down here, do you remember how narrow the strike range was? Now it's wider. So I can encompass 98%, practically almost 100% of all the strikes that exist by changing it in the Define Auto Strike screen. Also display all strikes, or I can go in 1 or 5 or 10 or 25 point intervals. But again, remember what I said before, is that whatever you've got quotes on, that's what OptionVue is going to use to come up with its variable volatility model calculations. If I've only got 5 or 10 strikes, it's going to come up with different fair value calculations than if I've got 25 strikes. So in my way of thinking, the more the better, okay? Here you can include leaps, quarterlies, or weeklies. So all of that's in the Auto Strike tab. I showed you the Options tab. You can add strikes. You can add months. You can go to the calendar button to add the months. These are the other areas that we discussed. And this is nothing to do with futures, therefore that is blank. And also IBM, I can see the symbol, the smallest tick, and if the dividends are paid, when they're paid, so that you know before an impending dividend, that's going to depress the value of the call slightly before a dividend is being paid. So be aware of when those dividends are going to occur. The thing that OptionVue does the best, I think, in order to really tackle it, would be the mathematical models. And I should wrap up with the mathematical models. You know, there's a lot more to show you, but the math models are second to none. That information takes slippage and commissions into account. You can quantify your slippage. You can slippage on 3 or 4 different models. A huge difference. I don't know how much I want to go into this, but I do want to show you where slippage is, okay? And model that be for IBM, and their different levels are right here: none, small, moderate, large, and bid ask. Now, if I see this globally, then I go up to View, go to and it's the same exact screen as you have for each individual asset. But you hit it right here, and you've got bid ask, large slippage, moderate, small, or none. And depending on how liquid some asset is versus another asset is where you're going to go into and make a change individually, asset by asset, because something that's got a large gap between the bid and the ask and the is have a lot of slippage, okay? Now, the other thing that's really important is the market price, because I get this all the time. Somebody says, you know, I see something calculated on a different platform and it that OptionVue, it says that I'm making a lot of profit. In OptionVue, it's saying I'm not making as much profit. What's going on? Well, the big thing is that the other programs aren't computing the right level of slippage, and you don't have any way that you can change slippage to make it reflect a market spread or a real liquid market when you don't have any hardly spread. Well, it starts with the market price. The market price in OptionVue is computed by using 10 times the bid price plus 10 times the asked price plus 1 times the last price divided by 21. You can change it. If you want to use bid, ask, and last divided by 3, you can. Or if you don't even want to include the last price, you can use bid, ask divided by 2, or you just work off the last. I think the most accurate way is the way that we have it set up by default, which is 10 bid, 10 times ask plus last, all divided by 21. So you come over here and you see these market prices. Now understand how that market price is computed. Okay. I changed this out to show at price because I want to give you an illustration of these areas, the market prices. So looking at a market price, I want to also just compare that with the last. So I can swap this out for last. And there are going to be differences. Do you see here the last is 330 and the market price is 335? So last here is 715 and the market price, because it's taking the bid, ask, and last all into account, which I can see what those numbers are, by the way, by double-clicking on 730. I can bid is 720, the ask is 740, and the last is way behind at 715. It lags. So I may not even want to include the last, okay? I just want the bid and ask divided by 2 to come up with a representative market price. But then there's one more thing that we do when we compute an at price. The price that OptionVue thinks you can buy or sell something at is really taking what we call slippage, that slippage into account. So it takes the market price, it's a slippage adjusted market price. That's what we call the at price. The at price is the price OptionVue thinks you can buy or sell at. In this case, OptionVue thinks you can buy one contract of the 90 at 731, even though the last was 715, okay? So these numbers are different, and I want you to understand how they're computed because, and look at your other trading platform, it's going to say different things than OptionVue, and you have to understand what's being done and why, or what's, in that case, in our platform, what's not being done. It's not taking a good market price, and it's not slippage adjusting the price to come up with a representative price that you can buy or sell at, okay? That's the big, big difference. And I had a conference call with Jim this week with another client, name is Scott, and we very saw the differences in terms of the theoretical value calculations and if there wasn't slippage. And it was in the other platform, it was saying that he had an $8,000 profit when he tried to exit a sophisticated iron condor, when in actuality he only had about a $5,600 profit. That's a huge difference. And you know what's going on and why to understand it. So the market price, the last, the trade, and the at price, these are how you would probably want to look at your matrix when you start looking at this information and making trading ideas and adjustments. But so again, the slippage is set up differently, and we can go into more detail in terms of what each one of these categories is for and when you would use them. But the other thing is commissions. Commissions are included, and I don't know that the other platforms always include commissions or even what commissions are. So these things in this setup are probably the most important thing, understanding them. Also the Yates options pricing as compared to any other platform, they don't take certain things into account that we do. Okay? So now you understand the slippage a little bit. The commissions are included. The pricing is computed differently. The option market price and how it's computed. And another kind of new feature is a box called skew curves. And we can use to combine call and put skew curve. Or we can choose not to, especially if there's a disparity between what's being calculated in the calls versus the puts. And we're only doing call spreads, for example, then we can uncheck this box, but we'll leave it checked. These margins are pretty much standard margin calculations. You don't really need to worry about changing those. Volatility is the behind the scenes, and that's the big other thing that's how this whole program runs, is if you understand the variable volatility model and you get a handle on the fact that it's using a 3-day running average at the money implied volatility by group meaning one of these others, then you know and understand how everything works and how the fair values are being computed based on a day running up to a 3-day running average of the at the implied volatilities. Implied volatilities are calculated on every strike, calculated differently. The variable is the default, but you can use with the variable 1, 2, or 3 days. Right now, I've got it set on 1 day. The big factor is that we take what we call a CEV into account. That stands for constant elasticity of volatility, and it's a factor that we actually compute in-house, and we actually use this number and readjust everything. We take the whole skew curve that we've computed and calculated and readjust it based on this number. So nobody else has got this. No other brokerage platform goes to this extent to calculate and use these volatilities. But the Greeks are also affected. They're changed because of this. All this modeling and this is being used to calculate the Greeks as well. So again, the Greeks are not going to match in a brokerage platform with OptionVue. Ours are going to be more accurate. And we calculate what's called true delta and gamma. The brokerages will use what's called the standard model. And you can play with this and adjust it and see the differences as you work with the software. I think these were the main things I wanted to discuss in detail. The other, I wanted to show a couple things about the areas that set us apart as far as the main buttons, but then you're going to be exploring these, and we can go over them individually with each of the clients and kind of tailor and customize with you during your custom walkthrough that you get when you're in your trial, as well as you can save that and do that walkthrough with us if you buy the program and want to do it later as well. But the main things I wanted to show you, in addition to, of course, we've got price charts and volatility charts, but we also have these scan tools, they call them the auto scan tools. And there's 3 scanning tools that are very, very popular. The one is called Trade Finder. That's where you are going to work with a group of assets specified by you, and you find trade results. The area is the survey, and this is where OptionVue uses the background database information, or those daily files as we call them, and it can scan and look for ratios of volatilities. It can look for the greatest dollar volume of options traded, scan for percentiles, highest current implied volatility percentiles. Excuse me. So that's doing a search as well. And learn more for volatility. And I'll go over some of that in my next webinar and show you more about how to use that. The other thing is OpScan. OpScan is an area that nobody else seems to have in the marketplace, and this is where OptionVue can look for, through OpScan, a real-time global search. A global search of all options that exist in the entire U.S. marketplace. It can look for breakouts to the downside, the upside. It can look for overvalued stock options within the matrix. It can look for undervalued stock options within the matrix. Unusual call activity, and you can build as many custom formulas as you want. These are the ones that kind of come pre-packaged with OptionVue, but you can actually write. You can start here and say new and actually write your own formula and start scanning for customized things that only you are going to be privy to. So it's a very powerful part of OptionVue that's OpScan, and it's $50 extra a month. And I know actually companies like Lafferty and other companies that have actually used OpScan made a whole business out of using and running OpScan formulas throughout the trading day and then disseminating the results of the information to their clients. So this is a very, very powerful feature that nobody seems to even, they don't recognize the value of this whole section. But this is a really big feature in OptionVue. Probably second to the using the program is the OpScan to run and find searches and new opportunities each day. Okay, the main three areas I wanted to show as far as the scanning tools, the Trade Finder, the Survey, and the OpScan. I also showed you shown you the account information a little bit. There's a whole button here called Reports, and that's got about at least these 5 or 6 screens or more, where it's more extensive than any brokerage information that I've ever seen. So you can explore that all later, but I just wanted to point it out. We're running out of time here, so I think for today, hopefully you've got a little bit new to chew on, and you can set up a time with me as well as with Tom in the East Coast, James in the Central United States, and I'm with clients out in the West Coast and overseas as well. You can set up individual sessions with us, okay? I want you to do that. Give me a call right after this. I would like to set up an individualized time to go through with you your particular needs, because there's not enough time to do it on these webinars. So call at 800-733-6610. We go through the program, set up things with you, and make this your own program so that you want to use it to make money every day with us. You want to enjoy the nuances of the program and learn more each day as you go and each year, because there's just way too much here otherwise to try and tackle in a free 2-week trial, and we don't want you to miss out. So again, the phone number is 800-733-6610. Also, wanted to point out on Facebook, if everybody has a Facebook account, go into your Facebook account and search for OptionVue Systems International. Back to you here. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Okay. You type, anyway, you can type OptionVue Systems International, and because I'll log in with my ID and have everybody see me. So, but OptionVue Systems International, and we will pop up and make sure that you like us. And then you're going to get all the free webinars every time that we post something. You'll get it as a notification in your Facebook web page, okay? Facebook page, rather. I think that's it for now. So I'm going to sign off, and thank you all for your time, and excuse me again for my cold, okay? I really apologize. Okay.